I'm sat in bed because I want to be comfy and also how sweet. Mwah. Um, and I'm just chilling because I've just come back from a bike ride. Now, I got my bike maybe about 6 months ago now, and I've been really trying to use it more and more, obviously, post weight loss and make the most of it. I went for a little bike ride today, and I went up through National Cycle Route 4, if you're interested. Very, very pretty scenic route. I don't know the extent of it because obviously I'm going from Cardiff up towards Caerphilly and Newport, and then you can sort of turn off for different directions around there. And I sort of did a different section of it, I suppose, on, let me think now, yesterday. No, well, it was yesterday, but I can't remember the first time I did it. Maybe like, probably would have been November time, before the weather got really bad over Christmas. And then I, today, I took a sort of like a little detour into the Newport side. So through an area called, I believe it's Drayton. I'd have to look that up because I've never heard anyone say it to me in person before, so I'm not sure. And it was so pretty. The houses were really gorgeous around there, like big or small. They were just really, really pretty and very like, it felt very villagey around there. And it's one of those things where the outskirts of Caerphilly and Newport obviously are quite rural. There's lots of farms around, but they do have nice little villages. So I believe that the location I stopped the first time is like the cusp of Newport and Caerphilly, and you can sort of go one way to one way to the other. But in all honesty, I'm not really sure when it comes to, I think Drayton, I think it's Newport. I will look it up after this, but I think it's Newport. Anyway, it's such a gorgeous area, and I had a really nice little bike ride. The weather was a little bit miserable, but it wasn't like pouring down with rain. It was just sort of a little bit of dampness in the air. It was spitting a little bit, sort of, towards the end, but nothing bad. I actually went and did my little daily meditation. I did it in the park in Old St Mellons, sat on a lovely old bench there, and was feeling very calm. It was very serene, very lovely. So I had a very nice time. I'm going to get onto the books now because I know that's what you came for. I just wanted to share that because I feel like where I live, because we live on the edge of Cardiff, there is so much like quite scenic stuff around us, and it doesn't take long to get to like these really, really beautiful areas where it just feels like everything opens up and you're in lots of nature and trees and rivers, and it's really enjoyable. So let's go on to the books. So last week was actually a really good week for reading. I got through quite a few books. And also I did a reread, which, this is going to sound crazy, but I've been reading a book a week every, on average. Obviously, sometimes you might finish 3 books in a week, but like averaging out, I've been reading a book a week since 2020. Yeah, it was right. I started to set my goal, and I started doing it right before the pandemic. It was January 2020. Obviously, we know how that went. There was lots of time to read, so that year was great, and then that's what sort of gave me the motivation to keep going. I read in, I believe, 2023, Marianne Williamson's Return to Love. I reread it. I read it during a period where I was making lots of life changes and things had really gotten quite good for me. It started in 2021 and then sort of, progressed from there. I made loads of life changes, did some counselling, did blah, 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 blah. So that was really fab. when I read this book, it felt like all of that was contextualised for me, and it really helped me find that like source of happiness and maybe kindness towards myself and others that obviously when you're feeling really low can sometimes lack. So I really enjoyed that, and rereading it was really, really great. I think it's probably one that I should reread every year, to be honest. I will say, I'm showing you on the Kindle, but I listened to the audiobook and I listened to it on a cycle last weekend. So that was a really nice experience. Now the next one I read on Kindle, and it was Once Upon a You and Me by Timothy Janovsky. I really like Timothy Janovsky's books. It's not the first I've read. I'd have to have a look at what the other ones were called, but he's got loads. And I really, really enjoyed this. It is really gorgeous. I had so much fun. I thought it was quite sweet and I don't know. I can't really find a way of. I found it refreshing in a way where I think it struck a really good balance between building that life that you want for you and also finding love in a way that I think romance books can sometimes not struggle with, because that's obviously not why you read them. You don't read them for like that realistic thing, the ultimate thing people want to find is love in these books. So that's fair enough. But this one really did. I felt like it was a great combination of two people that brought out the best in each other, but not just in a, oh, they're happier now, but in like a genuinely a meaningful way. So that was nice. Welsh read of the week, because obviously I'm reading through the Marianne books. So this one is Stryd Bont by Manon, Steffan, Ross, and I really enjoyed that. I think I'd said maybe I was planning on reading it, and I did. It's sort of about a street of people and something happens. Again, it's like one of those I don't want to spoil either, because they are so short, so try not to say too much. A street of people, they've all got their secrets. Something happens at the beginning, and then that, as we learn about each household, we're really uncovering what happened. I'll say no more, because I don't want to spoil it. But it was really, really fab, and I really enjoyed it. I'm currently listening to an audiobook, and I have to show you because I think it's the most fabulous thing ever. And I listened to this today on my cycle, and it is the Dinner Lady Detectives. This is with my monthly Libro FM credit. So this is exactly what it sounds. It's a little bit twee, but it's also very sweet. Its main characters are a lesbian couple in their early 60s, I believe. They're dinner ladies at the local school. Something happens in work and they need to solve a murder, basically. Some of the reviews I read about this is a bit of a side tangent, but I think you'll know what I mean. The reviews were really harsh on Goodreads, and the first one I read was sort of talking about how they didn't realise they were a couple and it's not really revealed till the end of the book. I think it's like the first or second chapter. Well, the first chapter we know that they're a couple, like I think any sane person would know that they're a couple, but the second chapter, it's them going to bed together and turning the lights off, and like not in a saucy way, but in a like, good night. Like, how many friends do you know that share a bed? Like, come on. And have lived together for 30 years, and they talk about having been together for 30 years. So I think there's only one way you could really take that. And so I'd read this review, and I thought going into it, all the other things they said, I was like, oh, it wasn't very good and it didn't make sense and blah, blah, blah. And then as I'm listening to it, I'm not having the same response at all. I'm thinking, well, it actually makes sense now, because clearly they didn't read it properly, because there's no way they would have missed this vital part of the story, which is that our main characters are a lesbian couple. Because it talks about their home life and like how long they've lived together and worked together and known each other and been in this relationship, and what they bring, what they love about each other and what they bring out in each other. And that's obviously not the biggest part of the story, because the biggest part of the story is really the mystery that they're trying to solve. So yeah, the other criticisms haven't really rung true for me either. So if you're thinking about reading this, definitely give it a go. I don't know what's going on there with those comments. I found that really bizarre, and I've genuinely really enjoyed it so far. So hopefully next week I'll have an update on that for you, and I'll tell you how it went. That is everything. I hope you've had a fabulous week. If you read any of these, share with me in the comments. Tell me what you're reading. If you have any recommendations, as always, I am always looking for them. And I hope my little cycle chat wasn't too boring for you. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.